Let's think about meeting our children's needs and the therapy that was provided. And of course, we have 1 and 2 week intensive approaches, often followed by weekly outpatient processes. And then we also have simply weekly outpatient processes. And some of you have been through different forms of that. I guess I would like you to speak to what type of what form of therapy your child went through, and why you think that met their needs, and how you think that was helpful to them.
Yeah. We did 2 different processes with our son and our daughter. I mean, both of them did the 22 weeks, but with our son, we did the 1 week intensive, and I think you would agree, the 1 week intensive for us was, I think, a really, I'd say very beneficial. Like, I think it opened up, I think, some, things that, and some discussions that, and some emotions that he was experiencing, and things that really needed to get out there, and that we could address in the 22 weeks. So I think they really both benefited from the 22 weeks, but he in particular really benefited from the intensive.
It kind of feels like the analogy of a cyclist riding in like the Tour de France, and they're on the mountain stages, and such a huge climb to the top. And for us to get there, kind of the 1 week session, right? We did like a couple of the weekly sessions, and then the intensive at the beginning after the first or second week. And that week was kind of like someone coming behind someone and giving you a shove to start getting up the mountain faster. And so I feel like a lot of progress was made faster, and I feel like his little heart received things a lot more quickly through the weekly ones because of that 1 week intensive time together.
We did the 22 week outpatient sessions, and I think that was good for us because we could come to Rick with some questions and concerns, talk about some things, and then we had the week to kind of digest what he said and try out some things and see how they worked, and then come back the next week and get feedback and readjust what we were doing. So I think that worked well for us. I can see where the intensive would be helpful too. I wonder maybe if we'd had an intensive session, and maybe if we would have, I don't know, at times dug a little deeper with her, maybe in the time that we didn't have just in a half an hour or an hour. But what we did worked well for us.
I think part of it was also the realization of what you don't know, and it's already in some degree hard enough to start doing things and trying to figure it out, to where maybe an intensive for us at the beginning would have been almost not too much. I still think it would have been beneficial, but in a way, it's like you don't want to go through that. It's going to be hard, and so selfishly, part of me, I think I don't know if I want to go through that much right now, and maybe baby steps through it, and looking back, I could see that probably would have been a good approach to go through, but it's a matter of what I was ready for, and change versus also what I needed to do, and I think it's probably a reason why we finally decided to do the assessment too. And it's like, when it was first mentioned, I think we did like a month or so later, once we started realizing we need to do this, and it was just more of what I was ready for. And so I think
with our daughter, she actually did the 22 weeks after we finished up with our sons, and we didn't do an intensive with her. And I think one of the things that was really beneficial of doing the 1 week and the 22 weeks, but then not necessarily needing to do that with her, was because the things that we were learning as parents through the intensive, which really gave us a jump start too, but through the 22 weeks with our son really helped us start practicing those things and living those things out at home with her. So when it was time for her to come around, she'd actually already made some progress before we even started bringing her in for her sessions.
I think what you said was a good thing, and I think the 1 week intensive, I think I'd be lying if I didn't say it was not difficult. I think it brought some emotions out of our son that you're kind of like, wow, why did we do that? This is, but I think what it did was it really provided him a place to feel emotionally safe, right. And to be himself around us, and to really kind of go through some of the things that he needed to really kind of, get through, and so was it difficult? Yeah, it was pretty difficult, but at the same time, it was like, looking back, it's like, I'm really glad that he had that time and was able to get through that, but it was tough.
You guys did the 2 week intensive.
Yeah, we did the 2
Tell
weeks.
us about that.
And that was after the assessment, Rick had kind of explained, he recommended the 2 week intensive in the 22 weeks, and you know, and we thought on it a long time. Obviously, the financial impact was there, and you know, also the time commitment and all that, and you know, finally we just decided we're gonna do this. We do the 2 weeks and go for it, and I'm very glad we did. Obviously, we went through the first week, and even at the end of the first week, we kind of said, yeah, we're not there yet. We're glad we're coming back for the second week, and even after the second week, it's a marathon. It's not a 100-yard dash type thing. So we're still obviously in the midst of the 22-week stuff, but yeah, I'd say now, after going through the intensive, the 22-week stuff is just like checkups. I mean, it's obviously they go fast. It's like, wow, it's over already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was like you said, that jump start out of the box. Plus, it was a time, it forced me especially to take some time, take the time off work and put the time in the nest with just our son, us two, and our son. That looking back, when might have that happened when it was just the three of us, and getting him more secure and obviously attached.
Yeah.
How you also did the 22 or the 2-week intensive, and then you're in the 22-week process. So, for example, how do you think that would have been if we'd just done the 22-week process in your situation, as opposed to investing that time in the nest?
I'm pretty sure I couldn't have survived if we just done the 22 weeks. We were pretty desperate by the time we got here. And by the time we got to the intensive, it was a desperate situation. And so it allowed us to speed up the process with him, and he was nearly close to getting kicked out of preschool, and so I think we probably would have had a really bad time if that had happened. And so it got us in and got him help right away, and so that was invaluable. And then we had a 1-week intensive with our daughter following the 2-week intensive. And yeah, I was like, somebody said at the end of the first week, we're like, oh yeah, we still have so far to go. And then we could see the difference then when we went with our daughter to the 1-week intensive, that she didn't have nearly the issues that he did. And we were able to kind of sort that out and say, okay, I see, why she has 1 week and why he needed 2 weeks. And then when we started the 22-week follow-ups, it's just that chance to process every week. Okay, here's where we are, and we just finished our behavior management plan, and it's like, yeah, do you remember when you came in here what your issues were compared to what they are now?
We discuss that sometimes. We have an issue we're dealing with, and you see how far you still have to go with things, and you're always going to probably be dealing with certain things of learning. But now when an issue comes up and we think, we look back and go, remember 2 years ago? And you kind of like, I think you need to do that to realize the progress you've made as a family. I don't mean just how much our daughter's grown. It's like us as parents and a family has grown. And when we have a little interruption of the night now, it's just like, oh goodness. I'm like, remember a year and a half ago? We didn't sleep more than 2 hours straight. It's just, looking back, and it also makes you realize how, just how far you've gone and how much better your life is in general, how much better your family is together, and it's just nice.
And then, like, Nikki catches on quicker than I do to a lot of things, and I don't know, with the walls that we had to get around with our youngest one and the shift that I had to make, I don't know that I could have done that for him without the intensive. There was just so much that we had to cover that I can't imagine getting there just once a week. We really needed that, and I'm glad we did it.
I do have to say, you'd be remiss if you didn't talk about that. It was emotionally and somewhat physically grueling experience, and I don't think I was prepared for that. Although you found ways to cope, and it was certainly you just experienced these high highs and then these low lows, and every day was kind of this like this, and I ate a lot those 2 weeks. I think I medicated with a lot of food. And, but, you know, it was so great when it was over. And it was the highs were so great that it made you get through the lows. But they were there. They were sure were there.
Mhm.
Wow.
Jennifer, you as a single parent went through the 22-week outpatient process. How did you feel like that matched what you needed with your child?
Both times, I think, really well. One of the things, I'm sure this is an issue for all parents, but as a single parent, you know, you want to spend one-on-one time with each of your kids. But for me, that can be really difficult to do. So this gave us a focused opportunity to do that, which I think was really good for each of my kids at the time we were here. And it was just really neat to watch as we went through the outpatient, you know, just the trust building, and learning that, you know, I'm the mom and I'm supposed to take care of things, and I will take care of things, and just watching, that was really what we needed from that. And I think the 22 weeks matched that really well. You know, we didn't have a desperate situation. My kids were, their issues were just with me. So out in the world, you know, oh, they're perfect, you know, why would they need to go to therapy? But, of course, I was careful about who we shared that with. But the 22 weeks, I think, was the right recommendation for us.
Mhm.